All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle one of the biggest questions out there. What is reality? You probably think of it as something you just watch, like a movie playing out in front of you. But what if it's not like that at all? What if it's something way, way weirder?
And this quote from neuroscientist Anil Seth. Wow, this is our jumping off point. When we agree on our hallucinations, we call it reality. Hallucinations? I know, that sounds pretty wild, right? But stick with me, because it's the key to this whole mind-bending idea about how we actually experience the world.
So let's go back to that movie idea. What if you're not just watching the movie of your life? What if you're the one projecting it? What if reality is something your brain is actively building right now, inside your skull? Let's dig into how on earth that could even be possible.
Okay, so first up, let's look at the science of perception. We're diving into this really fascinating theory that says our entire conscious experience, well, it's basically a type of hallucination. But, and this is a huge but, it's a very, very controlled one.
I mean, really stop and think about this for a second. Your brain is just sitting there, locked inside a dark, silent skull. It can't see, it can't hear, it can't touch anything directly. All it ever gets are these ambiguous, messy electrical signals coming in from your senses. So, from that jumble of data, it has to make its best guess about what's actually out there in the world.
And that is what Anil Seth means by a controlled hallucination. Your brain isn't just receiving information, it's constantly making predictions, these best guesses, about what's causing all those signals. Those predictions are your reality. Now, the controlled part is absolutely crucial. This isn't some random trip. These predictions are constantly being tested and updated against the raw data that's coming in from the real world.
So, you see, this totally flips the old model on its head, right? Perception isn't a one-way street with information just flowing into your brain. No way. It's a two-way process. It's your brain's predictions flowing out to meet the world, shaping everything you experience.
Okay, so how does the brain actually do this? How does it change its best guess so quickly? Well, it turns out it has this incredible built-in system, a kind of context switch.
Just look at this. It's a perfect example of the power of context. You see the word apple. Now, if the context is kitchen, you immediately think of a fruit, right? Maybe a pie. But if the context is keyboard, boom, instantly you're thinking of a tech company, a laptop. It's the exact same word, but your brain changes its meaning on the fly without you even having to think about it.
And here's the really wild part. Scientists can actually see this happening inside the brain. A 2022 study using fMRI scans showed that when you see a word by itself, one part of your brain, the supramarginal gyrus, gets to work. But as soon as you get that linking context, like keyboard next to apple, another part, the angular gyrus, just takes over. Your brain is literally, physically, switching gears to construct a new meaning.
So this amazing little mechanism in our brains, it's not just a neat neuroscience trick. It's actually a perfect, real-world example of a much bigger, much older idea from philosophy.
It's this idea called contextuality. And the core of it is pretty simple. Nothing has meaning in a vacuum. The meaning of anything isn't baked into the thing itself. Instead, it's created by all the stuff surrounding it, the circumstances, the conditions, the whole framework.
Let's take a simple word like cat to see how this works. If I say, my cat, Ginevreja, you're picturing a very specific little animal, right? Black fur, white paws. But if I say, the cat's in my neighborhood, the context gets broader. Now you're thinking about all kinds of cats, different colors, sizes, personalities. And if we zoom out to the feline species, well, now cat includes lions and tigers. The meaning completely changes depending on the frame you put around it.
And this quote from philosopher Carlos Gershenson really hits it home. This isn't just about words like apple or cat. This applies to everything. Even the things we think of as truths are tied to a context. They aren't absolute. They depend on the framework you're looking through.
Okay, so this raises a huge question, doesn't it? If every single one of us is running our own little reality-building machine in our head, all based on context, how do we all manage to agree on anything? How do we build a shared world? Well, that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle.
And that's where we get to the idea of a social construct. Now, these aren't things you can touch or kick like a rock. They're ideas that are real only because a whole bunch of us agree that they're real. We collectively believe them into existence.
And once you start looking, you see them everywhere. Think about it. Money. It's just paper or numbers on a screen. Nations? They're just lines we drew on a map. The calendar?
beauty standards, marriage. All of these are powerful ideas that shape our lives, not because they're physically real, but because we all buy into them. Our entire civilization is built on this stuff.
Now, it's really important to get this. Just because they're constructs doesn't mean they're fake. Not at all. In fact, they are some of the most powerful forces on the planet. This is the shared hallucination that Anil Seth was talking about at the beginning. It's the software that allows billions of us to cooperate and build societies.
All right, let's wrap this all up. Let's see how all these different layers connect, from the tiniest neuron all the way up to our entire world.
You see how it all stacks up? It starts at the micro level, with individual neurons making predictions. That process is managed by the brain's ability to switch contexts. That gives our minds the ability to understand that all meaning is contextual. And then, when millions of us share those contexts, we create social constructs. It's like a chain reaction, building reality from the inside out.
So what does this all mean for us? What's the big takeaway?
Well, for one, it means our reality isn't some perfect photograph of the world out there. It's not a window we're just looking through. It's much more like a collaborative painting, a giant mural that we are all working on together all the time.
And the whole thing gets built from the bottom up. It all starts with those little predictions happening inside our own minds.
And you know, that idea is actually incredibly empowering. Because if reality is a story we're all telling ourselves, if it isn't fixed, it means we have a say in how it goes. Which leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? What story are we going to choose to write next?